Is he seeing someone else? 10 sneaky ways to tell if your partner is cheating on you. Have you ever wondered if your man is cheating on you? While there are many different reasons and root causes behind why men cheat, including a lack of self-esteem, a search for validation, emotional and/or physical dissatisfaction, in addition to sheer lust or love for another person, an unfaithful partner can be devastating for any relationship. After all, if your goal is to have a healthy, successful, and long-lasting connection, being able to fully trust your partner is at the very heart of letting him into your heart. So if you suspect that he's cheating on you, it's important to look for these 10 clear-cut warning signs of an unfaithful man. But before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome. Hit the subscribe button and leave a comment saying I subscribed so we can welcome you. 1. He acts out of character. You probably know your man backwards and forwards. You know how he acts when he's happy, when he's angry, when he's stressed, when he's tired, when he's bored, and even when he's hungry. However, one of the defining characteristics of a cheating man is that he acts out of character, and his once typical and predictable behaviors, actions, and routines start to switch. For instance, perhaps he'd always be glued to the television during football games, refusing to miss a play, but now he's off in the other room with the door closed. Or maybe he used to look forward to hosting dinner parties and game nights at your place, but now he doesn't want people coming over. You may even notice subtler changes, such as when and where he charges his phone, the amount of time he spends in the bathroom, and an increased length in his commute to and from work. Since you know how your man typically behaves in many situations and have clear insight into the different nuances of his personality, any deviations from this norm should be a wake-up call that he may be unfaithful. 2. He cares more about his appearance. Since one of the major indicators of an unfaithful man is changes in his behavior, this is even more apparent when it comes to his focus on his appearance. Is your man suddenly very concerned with his looks when he previously couldn't have cared less? Does he now buy designer clothing, wear pricey cologne, and/or place a huge emphasis on working out when this never even crossed his mind in the past? When your man suddenly becomes extremely interested in, or even obsessed with, his appearance, such as dyeing his hair, getting spray tans, whitening his teeth, and even getting plastic surgery, this personality shift out of left field can indicate that your man may be playing the field. And while some of these changes can appear positive at first, when your man's intense focus on his looks seems to happen from out of nowhere, and he hasn't filled you in as to why, this might mean that something's happening behind your back. After all, when it comes to making significant modifications in personal priorities and behaviors, there's typically an inspiration or incentive that's motivating this change in the first place. And if you can't account for the reasons behind your guy's personality shift, you're not wrong to suspect that something shifty is occurring. 3. He's overly complimentary. While it may seem counterintuitive, another sign of a cheating man is that he's overly complimentary of you. And while this extra praise, attention, and admiration may make you feel incredible, too much of it should raise a red flag. Why is he now so inclined to incessantly shower you with compliments? Was he always so flattering and appreciative of every little thing you did? When his praise for you becomes excessive and over the top, he might be attempting to throw you off the scent so you'd never surmise that he was cheating. To that end, this overly complimentary nature is also a tactic that he may use in front of your friends and family in the hopes that no one would ever suspect that he was doing anything behind your back. In addition, when it comes to this type of personality shift in which your man suddenly becomes a compliment-spewing machine, it's important to keep in mind that this behavior may stem from guilt. In fact, one survey revealed that 66% of unfaithful men feel guilty about cheating. So in reality, by attempting to make you feel good with his constant praise, he's actually trying to make himself feel less bad about his actions. And if he can convince you and your peers about what a terrific guy he is, then maybe he'll be able to convince himself of this as well. 4. He acts more distant. On the flip side, another powerful indicator that your man is cheating is that he pulls away from you and the life that you have together. Do you feel as though he's stopped paying attention to you and constantly ignores you? Perhaps he used to make you a top priority, always listening to you, supporting you, and being fully engaged in what you were doing and saying. But now, it seems as though he couldn't care less about your needs, wants, and desires. To that end, he's also completely distracted and disinterested in the people, activities, and pastimes that used to matter to him. It's not surprising to find that when men cheat, they're so busy directing their energy, attention, and focus elsewhere, namely to themselves and the other person who's now in the picture, that they become less interested, concerned, and invested in you, your well-being, and the events in your life as a couple. Maybe you've had to repeat yourself on multiple occasions, or perhaps you sense that your guy isn't entirely present, even when you're together. If your partner is acting distant, it's not a far-off possibility that he may be cheating on you. 5. He's less intimate with you. To that end, this type of distance is not only emotional, but physical as well. If you've noticed that your once healthy and blooming sexual relationship has become a thing of the past, this behavior can also be indicative of a cheater. In fact, it's been found that even when some men are in happy and fulfilling relationships, they still have a proclivity to cheat. With this in mind, if your once frequent and fulfilling intimate time together now occurs less often and/or your partner seems rushed, distracted, and disinterested, take it to heart that this man may be toying with your heart. After all, since he's off sowing his wild oats elsewhere, he doesn't have a real need, desire, or interest to be close and intimate with you as well. 6. He accuses you of cheating. While it may seem surprising, a common characteristic of a cheating man is that he accuses you of cheating on him. In fact, it's been shown that people tend to accuse their accusers of what they're doing as a way to deflect blame and guilt. And if your man insists that you're the one who's being unfaithful, or if his response to cheating inquiries is that you're the person who's doing him wrong, this could assign that he's been cheating on you. After all, if someone accuses you of something that you're not guilty of, you would do everything in your power to rebuff, disprove, and discredit the accusation with clear-cut facts. On the other hand, if you were actually guilty, one way to try to absolve yourself from blame and avoid having to take the fall is to flip the argument back at the other person, no matter how ridiculous it may sound. So if he starts playing the blame game and throwing accusations in your face, it could be because he's playing games behind your back. 7. He lies to you. One of the most quintessential qualities of a man who cheats is that he lies to his partner over and over again. After all, cheating men have to cover their tracks, and that means lying about who they're with, where they are, what they're spending money on, as well as who they're calling, emailing, and texting, just to name a few. In fact, for many guys who cheat, their life ends up turning into one big lie, and they're left making up stories, events, and happenings in order to keep their indiscretions under wraps. And in many cases, this means fabricating and falsifying the truth to a point where it's practically unrecognizable. However, there are certain signs you can look for that can help you to decipher fact from fiction, and that means paying attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues. For example, when people are lying, they typically repeat certain words, almost as though they're reciting lines in a script, in the hopes that their point will come across to the listener. After all, making something up on the spot can be complicated and difficult, so people who lie tend to stick with key, go-to phrases to keep things simple. On the flip side, when people lie, they sometimes overshare the amount of information that they provide and give way more detail and specifics than would ever be necessary. They do this in order to seem more honest, transparent, and believable, but in reality, it's overkill. 8. He picks fights. Many times when a man is cheating, he looks for ways to stir up arguments, squabbles, and disagreements with his partner, and there are many reasons behind this fight-driven phenomenon. In the first place, many men who cheat are looking for ways to distract their partner and prevent them from figuring out what's really going on behind their backs. So by picking fights, men are able to divert their partner's attention to other topics in order to throw them off the scent. Whether it's a disagreement about cleaning up the bathroom, walking the dog, or picking up a prescription at the pharmacy, these small, petty, and seemingly insignificant fights and quips are meant to cover up big indiscretions. Additionally, when a man is prone to pick fights with his partner, this can also be a sign that he wants her to pull back and disengage from him and the relationship. After all, if your man starts treating you poorly, is critical of the things you're doing, and becomes argumentative, ill-tempered, and unreasonable, it's not uncommon that you'll want to withdraw from the situation. In fact, men who pick fights are then able to use that as an excuse to walk out on the argument so that the real issue never has a chance to come out. Many guys even use this desire to cool off after a fight as an opportunity to leave and spend time with the other object of their affection. Further, when people are under a great deal of stress and pressure, they also tend to be more irritable, testy, and quarrelsome. And when a man is trying to hide the person he's seeing on the side, being stressed out is a common side effect. 9. He calls you by the wrong name. Another major indicator that your man is cheating on you is that he inadvertently calls you by the wrong name. Also known as a Freudian slip, this is an instance in which a person ends up saying out loud what he or she's unconsciously thinking. And for a man who's cheating on his partner, It's not uncommon that the name of the person who's the new apple of his eye ends up popping out of his mouth, sometimes at inopportune times. To that end, research has shown that situational stressors can cause Freudian slips, so when your guy's conscious mind is preoccupied, distracted, and nervous when he's around you, his unconscious mind is able to let loose. And when this happens, it's likely that the name of the person he's trying to suppress ends up coming out front and center. 10. He frequently condemns cheating. In many instances, when a man is being unfaithful, he goes out of his way to condemn and denounce the act of cheating as much as possible. In psychology, this concept is known as reaction formation, and it's when a person becomes overly obsessed with an idea, concept, or belief that's actually the complete opposite of his or her real thoughts and feelings about the issue. In the case of a cheating man, he may be so outspoken about his condemnation of cheating that it's actually a defense mechanism and coping tactic for his own indiscretions. This reaction formation helps him deal with and manage his own inner conflict, and by being so openly and forcefully opposed to cheating, he's trying to convince others, as well as himself, that he's not really a cheater. So if you've noticed that your man is consistently finding ways to tell you and show you how fervently he's opposed to cheating, it's possible that he's a cheater himself. If you loved this video, then please hit that subscribe button and leave a like too, it helps the video reach more people. Thanks for watching, see you next time.